Just 20 Premier League games left this season, and the race for Champions League football looks set to go right down to the wire. Unless, of course, Nottingham Forest and Aston Villa lose this weekend, Chelsea win, and then next week, Manchester City beat Bournemouth. Then it won't. We'll have a Europa League show between Aston Villa and Nottingham Forest. But where's the fun in that? Plus, spoiler, I think it's going right down to the final day. Before we take a look at each team's chances of qualifying for Europeans elite competition, let's take a glance at the Premier League table as it stands with 2 games to go. Obviously, we've got Arsenal in second place on 68 points, but it's still possible Arsenal could find themselves finishing up in 6th place and missing out on Champions League football. It's unlikely, but it's possible. Newcastle United in 3rd with 66 points. Manchester City a point behind them. Then we've got Chelsea and Aston Villa tied on 63 points. However, the Blues have a significant advantage when it comes to goal difference. A 12-goal swing in their favour with 2 games to go as Aston Villa occupies a Europa League spot. Then we've got Nottingham Forest sitting in 7th with 62 points after dropping 2 points against Leicester City at the weekend. Just a reminder, top 5 is Champions League football, 6th place where Aston Villa is, that's Europa League football, and 7th place will be Conference League football. Nottingham Forest are guaranteed a form of European football next season. Fantastic achievement, massive congratulations to Nuno and his team at Nottingham Forest as well. But this weekend's quite significant, not just for the race for Champions League football, but the race for Conference League football as well. Because if Manchester City beat Crystal Palace in the FA Cup final at Wembley, that means 7th will get Europa League football and 8th place will then get Conference League football, which means Brentford, Brighton, Bournemouth and Fulham will all discover this weekend if 8th is Conference League football next season or not. So a big weekend, a big game for them at Wembley, although they are not participating. Got a feeling those 4 teams may be rooting for Manchester City and Nottingham Forest, of course, as well, because that would mean 7 is Europa League instead of Conference League. So if Man City win the FA Cup, Nottingham Forest will be in the Europa League at worst next season. But this video, we're going to focus on the race for Champions League football, and we're going to take a look at each team's fixtures, and then we're going to predict the results of the remaining 20 games in the Premier League and see what that league table looks like. I want you guys to get involved below in the comments as well. Don't be shy, but if you're new to the Tartan YouTube channel, please do subscribe and also drop a like on the video as well by clicking the thumbs up and let me know your thoughts, who you want to see qualify for Champions League football and who you think will qualify. Often, unfortunately, 2 different things. Right then, Arsenal need to make sure they get something somewhere so they get Champions League football. There is a very, very small possibility they will finish 6th. Arsenal fixtures, Newcastle United at home. But as we know, Eddie Howe has Mikel Arteta's number recently, so that's a very difficult fixture for them. And then they've got Southampton away on the final game of the season. Now, of course, a few weeks ago, that looked like a tap-in, 3 points, happy days. Not sure that's the case anymore. Man City going there and struggling at the weekend. And since Ruskin Lallana took over at Southampton, replacing the Sat Juric, only 4 teams have conceded less big chances in games than Southampton. So in terms of big chances conceded, Southampton have got the 5th best defence since Ruskin Lallana took charge. That's a more difficult fixture than it perhaps appears. Could be a bit of a banana skin. Arsenal need to make sure they get something somewhere. Newcastle United, obviously, as we know, they play Arsenal away. That should be a good game. I'm looking forward to that one. And then they face Everton at home on the last game of the season. I think it's fair to expect 3 points for Newcastle in that game. I'll be honest with you, I'm expecting 6 points from Newcastle. I think they're going to win both. But let's just lower expectations here, will we? Say 4 points would be a good return for them and will likely be enough for Champions League football. Everton, though, good win on paper. 3-1 away to Fulham sounds good. Let's apply the context. They were outplayed for 45 minutes and they were up against the Fulham side who have lost 4 out of 5 now. Everton 1 win in 10 before that victory. I think Newcastle should be fine in that fixture. Plus, St James's Park will be rocking that they're going to qualify for Champions League football. As for Manchester City, they play Bournemouth midweek next week due to playing the FA Cup final, so they'll have a small advantage maybe going into that game. Then they finish up the season away to Fulham, who I predict have nothing to play for at this point, even if 8th became Conference League football. Saying that, if Crystal Palace won the FA Cup, that would mean that Fulham and Bournemouth have nothing to play for when they play Manchester City. So as far as fixtures go, I think City have got 2 all right fixtures there, actually. They're tricky, but they're definitely winnable. As for Chelsea, well, they play Man United on Friday night, and as we know, they will be focused on Europa League. They face Spurs in Bilbao less than a week after this game. But that last fixture away to Nottingham Forest, when the computer did its random fixtures at the start of the season, I bet nobody thought that could be a European showdown. But here we are. At one point, it looked like it could be a Champions League playoff, but not so sure that would be the case anymore due to Aston Villa being in between them, and I'm thoroughly expecting Aston Villa to pick up 3 points on Friday night. But it could still be a big game. It could be a pivotal game for each of them. And as long as they both win this weekend, if Nottingham Forest win, they will obviously leapfrog Chelsea as well. So it could be a big one. Speaking of Aston Villa, they take Spurs on Friday night and then Man United away. I think they've got the kindest fixtures. They're playing the 2 Europa League teams. And again, at the start of the season, when fixtures come out, Villa fans looked at it and thought, oh, that's a tough 2 games to finish up with. I would agree with them. You'd forgive them for that. Now, I think it's the best 2 fixtures you can have. Playing the 2 teams in the Europa League final. Albeit one of them comes after the Europa League final. But will they care? They'll either be playing a side that's just won the Europa League, season's over, or a side that's just lost the Europa League final and have really given up. I think it's fair to expect Aston Villa to win both games. I think anything less than 6 points out of those 2 is not good enough for Aston Villa. Then that leaves Nottingham Forest, who face West Ham, my team, this weekend at the London Stadium, before finishing up, of course, with Chelsea at the City ground. I think they'll beat us. I think they'll beat us and give themselves every chance going into next weekend against Chelsea. So it's all to play for. But what am I predicting? Because you can have your gut feeling and your vibes, don't you? But when you actually do your predictions, it can sometimes spit out a different result. So I've got the link to the Premier League table predictor in the description below in the pinned comments. So click on it, put your score predictions in for all 20 games, hit calculate, and it will spit back what you think the table will end up looking like. Pause the video, go do it now before you see what my table looks like. But here is my finished league table. So I've got Newcastle United coming runners up in the Premier League in 2nd place, Arsenal dropping down to 3rd. I've got Manchester City finishing in 4th, with Aston Villa sneaking in to Champions League football in 5th place, with Chelsea in 6th place. And then I've got Nottingham Forest in 7th, getting some form of European football. And I've got Brighton in 8th, who will get Conference League football, assuming Manchester City lift the FA Cup. My team, I've got in 15th, above Man United and Spurs. A pathetic season, but funny to finish above them. So anyway, there you go. That's what I've got. That's how I think the table will look at the end of the season. I've got Chelsea dropping out of Champions League football and being replaced by Aston Villa. But it's in Chelsea's hands. Will they do it? Let me know what you think in the comments below. But before you disappear, make sure you've liked the video by clicking thumbs up. Helps out the video, helps out the channel. I appreciate your support, and I will catch up with you later on in the week.